If I was starting out as a wedding photographer, here's what I would learn. After my 12 years of being a wedding photographer, I can personally say I have learned a thing or two about weddings, and I want to share that with you all. Now, there is a lot of information out there, but I want to get you all started with the main things you need to learn as a brand new wedding photographer. Also, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. We'll be talking about them later on. So to start out, the number one most important thing you should learn is the exposure triangle. If you're not familiar with the exposure triangle, it's basically a way to explain the settings on your camera to get a correct exposure on your photo. Being able to understand the exposure triangle will help you shoot in manual mode, which is going to give you better results across the board. And I'll be honest with you, when I started wedding photography, I didn't start directly in manual, and you don't have to either. Don't let anyone online tell you that you need to absolutely move into manual, but I can tell you, as you get better as a photographer, all the different auto modes are going to leave you hanging, which is why you definitely need to focus on learning manual. Basically to say, you don't have to jump right into manual. Sometimes that's a little hard, but you definitely need to start understanding your camera and its settings. When I started, I used aperture priority mode. That's the one that made the most sense to me. But again, what ends up happening in certain situations is your shutter's too slow and you get like blurry photos, or your ISO is too high and everything's too grainy and noisy. So definitely understand the exposure triangle. Now, if you want some help with that, I have a great video about it that explains it the way that I would to honestly a 10-year-old. And I can literally say that because my daughter's like 12 and I've been teaching her how it works and she's starting to get it. So if you want it explained to you extremely easily, so easy that a 10-year-old could understand it, definitely make sure to check out that video at the end of this video. Understanding your exposure triangle and shooting in manual is going to give you the know-with-all to do things like sparkler exits or blurry photos, or just make sure that everything is going to be sharp in all of the photos you take. And as a wedding photographer, this is extremely important. So this will be the first thing for you to focus on. The next thing to focus on is going to be how to focus. Manual focus, autofocus, all the different focus modes. This is extremely important to understand as well, and something you're going to be practicing when you first start off, when you get your camera in your hands. The reason I'm bringing this up second, because it's just as important as the exposure triangle, especially on a wedding day. There's so many moving parts, there's so much happening during the day, and if you don't know how and what autofocus mode to use during the day, you're going to have a lot of problems and a lot of missed shots. Now, for a couple of tips to get you started out, first, start with some street photography. Street photography is a great way to practice autofocus, especially if you live in a larger city like New York or something. You have so many opportunities to take photos of people walking around, cars driving, people on bikes, things that are moving, animals, so on and so forth. This is how I got my start, and it really helped prepare me for wedding days. But the biggest thing is you'll want to get out there and actually try to take nice street photography photos. Don't just like be out there taking random photos. Now, the second tip is going to be understanding each of your focus modes. Continuous autofocus is nice and face autofocus is nice, but there's a time and place for them. Some people just turn this stuff on and leave it on and then end up missing focus because their camera's doing too much. One of the funniest things I think, in my opinion, is you'll get these people on like Reddit and other online threads and they'll like go in on you all mean talking about, oh, you shoot auto, but then swear by autofocus, which is basically the same thing for focus. Now, I'm not saying that you need to get into manual focus, but me personally, I use single point focus most of the day. I don't use continuous autofocus because it's guessing too much. Basically, I don't want my camera to be doing everything. I want to be the one telling my camera where to focus, what to focus on. And a lot of times I end up pressing the button multiple times before I shoot, or pressing it, shooting, and then pressing it again to get another focus when I'm using single point autofocus. Continuous I'm generally going to use when subjects are moving towards me or away from me, and I know that's the case. I'm not just turning it on and leaving it on all day. Also, you have different focus metering modes. So like you have your single point, you have zone, you have the whole multi-tracking. There's different that your camera can do. Learn which one and where to use them. And for wedding days, I would suggest rarely using face autofocus. The reason is, between your couple and their guests, there's a lot of faces, and sometimes your camera's really not gonna know where to focus. Now, if it's just you and the couple, you can turn on face focus if you want to, or if you're taking solos of the bride or groom, feel free to turn on your face autofocus, but honestly, I wouldn't turn that on all the time. So, taking the time to understand your focus, your focusing modes, so that you can get a sharp photo every time is extremely important. The third most important thing for you to learn as a starting wedding photographer is the flow of a wedding day. Wedding days, in my opinion, are their own beast, basically. They move on their own. You have to keep up with it. You have to keep it on a leash to make sure that you're getting those photos. And you have to learn how these days will typically go. When you've been doing it as long as I have, you know when the wedding day is going to be late. You know how to deal with when it's late in certain times of the day when it's late. You know when grandma's going to show up and there's going to be emotions. You know when speeches are going to happen. You know these things because you've seen them and felt them so many times, and generally they are about the same. Obviously, you need to improvise in your wedding days and be able to ebb and flow, but for the most part, weddings follow a very typical line every time. Now, one of the best ways to learn the flow of a wedding day is to start being a second photographer. Second photographer positions are basically a position where you support the lead photographer during a wedding day and also take photos of that wedding day. Now, if you're brand spanking new and you've barely shot anything at all, you might want to be a third photographer, which you can actually reach out to photographers and let them know, like, hey, I'm very new. I just want to assist you. I don't even want to be the second, because as a second photographer, you need to be able to take photos pretty well. Like me as the main photographer, I need to be able to depend on you during a wedding day if something happens. If I know I have no time to get the detail shots in the reception hall, I need to know that I can say, hey, go take that, and not have to be like, did you get it? Did you take it? Did you do it right? Did you get a full room? Did you get a tight shot? Did you get, like, I don't want to have to do that. I want to be like, okay, I can't take them this time, which I generally prefer to do, but I know that you got it. That's what a second photographer is. If you're not confident enough to do that, you need to be a third photographer. And honestly, you might have an easier time getting that position, offering it to photographers as like an assistant third photographer role, rather than being like, oh, I want to be a second. I want to get paid. I want to build my portfolio. Don't do that. Just go in there trying to learn the flow of a wedding day. Now, another way you can learn the flow of a wedding day as well are from my full wedding day videos. If you all don't know, or if you're new to the channel, I've posted like 6 to 7 1 to 3 hour long videos of whole on wedding days. There's a lot of videos you might see on YouTube to say full wedding day, but like when I tell you this is a 3 hour video, you're getting the whole wedding day. Here's the playlist here up above. Definitely make sure to check it out. There is a lot of great videos there, and if you're brand new, this will help you with so many I put so much tips in these videos, so definitely go check them out. Once you start getting your feet wet as well and you feel a little bit more comfortable with weddings, another great way to learn the flow of a wedding day is to become an associate photographer. As an associate, you're leading the wedding. However, you're shooting it for another business. So basically, you're not hiring the couple, you're not doing the marketing, you're not doing the editing, you're just showing up to the wedding day. However, you are the lead photographer. This is probably one of the best positions to be in because it's really, really going to teach you how that day goes down as you lead it. But again, at this point, you should have already been seconding, maybe even being a third, before getting into being an associate photographer. Now, once you've learned the flow of a wedding day and you're pretty comfortable there, one of the next things you need to start learning is a Lightroom workflow. Editing is probably the second most important thing when it comes to wedding photography, and if you don't have a workflow, you're probably wasting a bunch of time and turning out inconsistent edits. Getting familiar with using Lightroom Classic, editing your photos, and having a consistent workflow is going to save you in so many places. The first place, like I said again, is going to be in time. When you have a set workflow, you can edit so much faster. When I tell you my workflow is extremely flawless, that I can sit down and edit a set of like 30 photos in like 10, 15 minutes, it really is like that. And we're doing all of the edits, not just a little bit. It takes a long time to get to this place, so work on this workflow. I actually just made a video about the 3 most important tools you should be using in Lightroom, so I'll link that up above as well. Definitely check that out. And I have a course on Lightroom as well, where I go through my whole workflow, to help you get used to it. So if you want to look at something like a course, you have it there. I also have videos on Lightroom here on my channel. And that's a big thing too. I would say stick with Lightroom Classic. I know everyone wants to use Lightroom CC or mobile or whatever they call it. They keep changing the name. They change the name like every other week. But Lightroom CC is cool and all, but it's extremely limited, especially for a professional. So you can use it, but if you want to be a professional wedding photographer, if you want to do this for 5, 10 plus years, I highly recommend learning Lightroom Classic. So you're editing your photos now, you're exporting them from Lightroom, and now you need to put them on your portfolio. And this is the next biggest thing I would say to learn how to do, which is how to curate your portfolio. Curating your portfolio is hands down the most important thing to learn how to do as a wedding photographer, and it's something you'll be continually working on. One of the biggest issues I see almost across the board from newer wedding photographers is that on their websites, they're putting too many photos. And when I say too many photos, what I mean is like, let's say you're getting started and you've only shot 3 to 5 weddings. You're worried that couples are going to look at you and think that you're not a working photographer. So what do? You post a lot of photos from the same 3 to 5 weddings. And this is a huge mistake. When it comes to your portfolio, you should be showing the type of work for the type of couples that you want to get. So for example, if you're trying to get more high-end couples, use the one high-end wedding that you have, but only post a limited amount of photos from that wedding. Don't think that you have to post every photo, because what happens is photographers start choosing photos that don't really lean into their portfolio. It's just like pictures that don't make sense, pictures that don't show off their best work. Overall, it's just not working out for you because you're trying to show more work. And this is a big no-no. In my opinion, less is more. So even if you feel like you don't have a lot of photos, please trust me on this. Just show the best work you have and curate your portfolio down. Now, I've recently gotten to a place where I've been doing it for long enough now that I have a lot of photos that I can show that will also fit my portfolio, but this is still something that I do myself. Going in and thinking about my photos and making sure I'm not putting too many photos and my best work on my website is one of the hardest things, and it's something you'll be continually learning. And if you don't have a portfolio yet and you're looking for an easy way to show it off to potential couples, you should definitely build it with this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is an online platform that will help you quickly and easily build your website. As a wedding photographer, in my opinion, it is extremely important to have a place where your couple can go see you and your work. Squarespace has amazing templates to make it quick and easy to build your website, and also it's easy to customize it as well. Because of this, you can have your site look exactly how you would want your brand to look without it looking like anyone else's website. My website has been on Squarespace for the whole time I've been a wedding photographer, and I love the way it looks and my portfolio. And aside from being able to build a portfolio, Squarespace makes it easy to do so many other things. You can have blog pages and share your thoughts online. You can sell physical and digital products. You can have member pages where people will pay you for specific content that you put on your website. There are so many options for you and your business, and this is why I highly recommend it. So make sure to check out the link in the description below for 10% off of your first website or domain. Build your portfolio, don't put too many photos in it, and let your couples come and see your beautiful work. This is going to help you get more work that you would want to show off on your website rather than just a bunch of photos. So the next most important thing that you all need to be learning as a starting wedding photographer is photo backup. We've been talking so much about your portfolio and the photos themselves, but losing the photos is probably the biggest no-no as a wedding photographer. If you don't have a backup process, if you don't understand how backing up works, you're putting yourself at a huge risk as a wedding photographer. You have couples paying you thousands of dollars for these photos, so the biggest thing you want to be able to do is have everything backed up. I have a great video explaining my backup process right up above, but to quickly tell you a little bit about it, basically shoot on 2 SD cards in each of your camera, import to multiple areas on your computer, so not just on the computer, but the computer, an external hard drive, maybe even another external hard drive. Then after that, also have some kind of cloud backup and an archive system. With all of these in place, you should never lose your photos, even if, God forbid, your house burns down. I luckily have never really lost any photos, but I can tell you when I started out, I did not have a great backup process. So this is why it's one of those things I highly suggest when you're starting out to go ahead and learn early. Another place I would highly suggest focusing on as well as a brand new photographer is Flash. You need to learn some kind of basic Flash. You don't need to be the master of Flash and lighting, but you definitely need to use Flash because I'm sorry, I've seen too many photographers, especially nowadays, just not care to use Flash. They're like, oh, I can just use my ISO. Oh, I can just use Lightroom AI noise canceling. I can just do all these things. It's just learn some basic Flash. It's actually not that hard. With basic Flash, you just need a single flash and a modifier on your camera, and then understanding how that light moves throughout the space that you're in, how it bounces off of different colored walls, and how that's going to look on your subjects. I'll link you all with a video up here where I talk about Flash, and I also have a course to get you started with Flash photography. And again, the biggest thing with Flash photography is just getting started and getting it to look good. And that's what I focus on in this course. It's less of one of those like, we're gonna master Flash, and more just like, let's get you started so that you're able to do it and get great results. And to me, that is more important than anything in the world. So make sure you're not slacking on Flash. You're not running around being like, I'm a natural light photographer, and using that as an excuse to not use Flash. And again, I'm not hating because I consider myself a natural light photographer as well. I would rather not use Flash, but if you put me in a position where I have to, I'm going to use Flash. Like I have photos like this. I have so many different types of photos with Flash. So again, it's something you need to have in your tool belt, even if it's something that you're not using the whole time. Now, after you've learned all these things, one of the biggest things you need to focus on as well is how to avoid scams in your photography business. I don't know about you all, but this day and age with the amount of phishing and scams going on, it is a scary place for your photography business. I mean, it's easy to get emails that look totally legitimate and you feel like you're booking a client at one of your best rates and turn around and you get scammed and you have so much coming out of your bank account. And you definitely do not want that to happen to your business. So if you want to learn how to avoid photography scams, this video here will help you steer clear of any phishing and scams in your photography business.